What's up everybody, Matt Maran here for another weekly update. So there's lots of news to go over here this week, but first I want to give a huge thank you to all of you that gave me your congrats for the arrival of our new little baby girl last week. I really appreciate it. It was so nice of all of you. There's so many comments and I really appreciate it. And everything's continuing to go well here. And so let's get right into the news this week. So there's lots of new debuts at the Shanghai Auto Show, which has been happening this past week. Some of them are for the United States, some are just for China, and I'll kind of cover, some of the relevant ones here in this update. But first, before I get to that, the 2022 Toyota Land Cruiser was just leaked out here just yesterday on Instagram, thanks to user Hamad123. And so it does look pretty nice, I have to say. It's a very, nice evolutionary update here for the Land Cruiser for this totally new generation version. But unfortunately, all the reports are currently claiming that America will not be getting this next generation version. It sounds like it'll be officially revealed for the rest of the world this summer, though. So we'll see. Maybe they'll surprise us. Toyota, we'll have to wait and see on all that. But interesting to at least get that little leak there, thanks to Hamad123. Now, on to the first Auto Shanghai reveal this week. So first, Ford revealed the Evos, which is this vehicle that leaked out several months back, you might remember. People originally thought it was going to be the new Fusion X wagon. Unfortunately, though, there aren't too many pictures here of this vehicle that was revealed, this Evos, but it does look pretty cool. It's like a half sedan, half crossover thing. Who would have known the Subaru Legacy Outback sedan was going to be such a trailblazer that now all these other companies will be following along here decades later. But anyway, yeah, I think it looks pretty cool though, and it's technically, lifted enough they could call it a crossover, I suppose, and it doesn't fit into the actual, sedan thing that Ford has sworn off doing. This could potentially come to the States here. We'll have to see, though. They did say that it was designed entirely around the Chinese consumer experience and ownership scenarios, and was designed by mostly a China-based team as well. But there have been prototypes of this spied running around Michigan, and based on that, there are a lot of vehicles that do get tested here in the States that are only for China. Jeep has been doing that with the Grand Commander for years. Everyone thought it was the Wagoneer before the Wagoneer actually arrived. So there is some of that happens, but there's been talks and lots of rumors about how there was going to be a new replacement for the Fusion. It would kind of be, like a Subaru Outback competitor or something. This doesn't have that kind of cargo space, so maybe we'll get a modified version of this with a more usable hatch or something. We'll have to see, what ends up, coming about here, because supposedly Ford told Autoblog that this isn't coming to the States, at least again in this current form. So we'll have to wait and see on all that. But otherwise, aside from the cool exterior, the interior is very modern and futuristic as well, with a 12.3-inch digital gauge screen and a 27-inch infotainment screen as well. We don't have any mechanical details for it, but it doesn't appear to be fully electric or anything. So, could have a normal gas engine, but yeah, we just don't know. But interesting to see that nonetheless. And like I said, I think it looks really nice. For something that looks even better, though, Lincoln has revealed the Zephyr reflection concept for China. And this previews a car that will actually be going on sale in China later this year. And man, that thing looks so good. But the reason why China's getting a beautiful new Lincoln sedan and we're not is because they actually buy sedans in decent numbers still over there. And we don't here in the States. And so instead, China gets all the gorgeous sedans that we don't get. So this isn't related to the Evos, even though they're revealed at the same show here. But Autoblog points out that the roof and the windows do look very close to the current Fusion, which leads to some speculation that this is just a heavily reskinned version of the current generation Fusion. But even if it is, who really cares? It's like gorgeous on the outside, and on the inside, it's super high tech too. Very impressive there. And I really love, especially the back end. It kind of looks similar to the Sony car that they refused to build. And I'm glad that something with a similar back end is actually going to make it to production here. It's just a gorgeous sedan, and it's just sad we're not going to be getting it here in the States. But cool to see that nonetheless. Toyota this week has revealed their first mainstream electric car. Pretty big deal here. It's going to be sold worldwide, by the way, including the States. And this is going to be on their new eTNGA platform. So it's called the BZ4X, which supposedly stands for Beyond Zero, and then I believe the 4X stands for all-wheel drive. But so this is the RAV4 sized vehicle they've been talking about for a long time now, and Subaru's version of this should be revealed relatively soon too. But this is the first of 15 models in this new BZ sub-brand that will be coming by 2025, including an electric truck, they said. So I would expect a electric version of the Tundra, or maybe they'll do something else that's not using an existing name. We'll have to see. But they say this BZ4X is labeled as a concept, but seems production ready. Even though the styling is pretty bold, both on the outside and the inside, but it has normal seat belts, door handles, all that kind of stuff. I don't have any mechanical details for this yet. There were some leaked stuff from a Lexus promo video a while back that was saying like 400 horsepower. That seems a little high for the Toyota version, but we'll have to see. Hopefully we get more info soon. But I just wish they would have picked a better name. BZ4X, like that does not roll off the tongue whatsoever. I mean, oh man, I don't know, why everyone always has to use these jumbles of letters and numbers. I hope that someday they run out of combinations and they finally just go back to real names someday. But anyway, yeah, it's a promising thing though. Otherwise, I think it looks pretty cool, but just that name, woof. Anyway, moving on here. Honda revealed the SUV E prototype. Another stroke of brilliance as far as namings go. It appears to be this, just the next electric Honda in the lineup after the Retro E. Which again was really lacking in the naming department. And so, this looks to be about the size of an HRV. And Honda says it's the first of 10 EVs that it plans to introduce in China in the next 5 years. And so this almost certainly won't come to the States here because, they didn't give us the hatchback thing, and they're probably not going to give us this either because it's probably going to have low amounts of range just like the E does. And so Honda has said previously that their first EVs for the US will be the ones developed in conjunction with General Motors, most likely use the Ultium battery, so you get the 300 miles of electric range that all the Americans want and stuff. And so that will most likely what we'll be seeing, but interesting to see what they're doing for the rest of the world. Taking a break from those electric concept cars and stuff, though, for a little bit. I know it's kind of exhausting, and there's lots more later on, but for some exciting stuff here to get our red-blooded, enthusiast senses boiling here. So we have Ferrari this week has partially revealed this awesome version of the 812 Superfast. They officially have not revealed the name for this vehicle, but it seems like the name is going to be called the Versione Speciale, which is fine, but I just was really hoping they'd call this the GTO as well, especially with those rear window louvers there in the back. But anyway, it doesn't matter what it's called for this one because this thing is mouth-watering with its specs. So, as many of you know, I'm a huge fan of the 812 Superfast and the GTS versions. So this is like a new dream car for me here. So the 6.5 liter naturally aspirated V12 has been bumped up from 789 horsepower to 818 horsepower. And the already high 8,900 RPM redline you get in the 812s is now an insane 9,500 RPMs. I'm in love already. But anyway, so this is possible thanks to, they say, new valve timing, a new valve timing mechanism, as well as a new exhaust, which is pretty impressive because considering, the current 812s I'm sure did not have a restrictive exhaust. So between the valve timing stuff and this exhaust to get all the extra horsepower is pretty impressive. It also has this new 7.0 version of the side slip control for better handling at the limit. And they've done several things also to reduce the weight, which I think we'll get some more details on that whenever this is revealed fully on May 5th. You can see on the outside there's lots of carbon fiber bodywork everywhere, including the huge front hood there, and that whole piece is all carbon fiber. And the arrow on this thing is very aggressive too. The rear window is thrown out for a piece of aluminum here. I'm surprised that's not carbon fiber, but that's aluminum. And that has vortex generators that work with the new integrated spoiler to improve downforce. And again, just even the front bumper and everything is very aggressive. The exhausts are very different and unique, but I think work with the styling and stuff. And the whole thing just seems, like I said, just absolutely epic in every possible way. And so I'm looking forward to hearing more details here on May 5th. BMW this week has also revealed the all-wheel drive versions of the M3 and M4 competition this week. And so they do the same 503 horsepower and 479 pound-feet of torque as the rear-wheel drive competition versions, but they are 0.4 seconds faster for the 0 to 60 thanks to that better traction, now doing 0 to 60 in 3.4 seconds. The downside here is that they're automatic only, and they weigh 100 pounds more than the rear-wheel drive version. That's the trade-off. Of course, we know you can still get the manual in the normal base M3 and M4, but not in the competition versions, either rear-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. But the all-wheel drive version does default to rear-wheel drive, and it only sends power to the front wheels when needed, and you can actually force it to stay in a rear-wheel drive mode as well with the drive mode selector if you'd like, just like on the M5, so you can do all the donuts and burnouts and stuff you want, which is great. The all-wheel drive models also get a quicker steering rack and a better oil system as well. And so anyway, the all-wheel drive xDrive M3 is going to be starting at $77,895, including destination, and the M4 starts at $79,795, including destination, which makes them about $4,000 more expensive for that all-wheel drive system, which I think is well worth it, especially considering you can switch to rear-wheel drive whenever you want. Obviously, I'd still pick a manual, but I think for those who don't mind the automatic, this makes a lot of sense, and it's going to be arriving in dealers in August, so cool to see that. Back to the electric concept stuff. Audi revealed the A6 e-tron concept this week, and with it, they confirmed that the next generation A6 will be electric only. This is the end of the line for the A6 with gas with the current generation. They did say that current gen A6 will continue to be sold alongside this new version for a while, and this is the same policy they're rolling out with the Macan, which is going all electric and is actually going to be on the same platform. And I'm sure many other models will also follow suit. But anyway, so for this car, it is on the new PPE platform, again shared with that new Macan that's coming, not on the same J1 platform that you get on the e-tron GT or the Taycan. That's a different platform. But while this is a concept, Audi told Autoblog that it's about 95% production ready, with only small things like door handles changing between this and the production version. It's about an inch longer and 3 inches wider than the current A6. There's a lot of really cool little touches of this, at least this concept car. One is that the paint is called Helio Silver, and the paint color actually reflects thermal radiation so well that Audi claims that owners will rarely need the air conditioning system, supposedly. We'll see if that turns out to be true or if that'll even be available on the actual production version, but that's what they claim. Another super cool touch, though, is that, and this is really creative and innovative, so the digital matrix LED headlights, which are stupidly still illegal here in the United States thanks to our super outdated laws, but for the rest of the world, these headlights can actually now project movies or video games onto a wall for the occupants to enjoy while the car charges, which is something I think Tesla should have thought up before Audi did. But Audi's pretty awesome, and they have lots of high-tech lighting stuff they've always had. And so to have your headlights be actual projectors to project your movies and your video games while you charge, brilliant. That is awesome. So speaking of charging, though, it has a 100 kilowatt hour battery pack and can do 270 kilowatt fast charging thanks to its 800 volt architecture. So this enables charges from 5% to 80% in 25 minutes, and Audi claims a hypothetical range of 434 miles, although that's likely on one of those easier testing cycles. We'll have to see what we get here in the States. But mechanically, there's going to be a range of powertrains available, from a rear-wheel drive one-motor version to a dual-motor all-wheel drive version that maxes out at 469 horsepower and 590 pound-feet of torque, along with a 0 to 60 time of under 4 seconds for that fastest version. The production version will be arriving in the US before the end of 2023, so we're still, a couple years off here. But yeah, so that means, the A6 has a little bit longer to live as the only option until, there is this e-tron version. But, it sounds like Audi's going to be doing this for basically everything. So I would prepare for the A4, the A8, anything that can fit on this PPE platform to be using the same thing. So I would safely assume this generation of the Audi S4 will be the last gas-powered S4 there is. Same thing goes, as far as A8 and stuff. I don't know about the A3 and the S3, those are a little bit smaller. We'll have to see. But I wouldn't wait around for a next generation version of these models. If you want one, get one, because it sounds like, they will probably phase these out. We know, Audi said, several weeks back that they're not going to develop any new gas engines or anything like that either. So, the writing's on the wall here. This stuff is all, on a dead end street. And so, sadly, it's just the way things are going at Audi and their direction here. So, interesting to hear about that. Volkswagen has revealed the ID.6 crossover in China, and it's on the same platform as the other ID models, but it's about a foot longer than the ID.4, and it's on an 8-inch longer wheelbase. Because of the length, it has a third row, and this is actually the only EV to offer a usable third row other than Tesla. And honestly, aside from the Model X, the Model Y's third row is pretty useless. So, I think this is, could really be a huge hit here in the States if they brought it. Batteries and motors are the same as the ID.4 as well, so you have your choice of either 200 horsepower and rear-wheel drive, 300 horsepower all-wheel drive, and the same batteries the ID.4 offers, which means you might be under 200 miles of range here in the States if they did bring this over, which would be a hurdle for it. But aside from that, they did say, for now at least, the ID.6 is built for China. They're going to be building them in China, and it's for the Chinese market. But this seems like a no-brainer for America. This is exactly what, a lot of buyers I think are going to be wanting, and people that probably have been wanting to make the switch to electric, but need 3 rows, this could be the only game in town really outside of those the super expensive Teslas. So I mean, yeah, I'd be shocked if this doesn't come to the States eventually. We'll have to wait and see, though. Speaking of massive Volkswagens, though, there's another one for anyone that loves massive bloated vehicles. This is the Talagon, which is 4.5 inches longer than even the Atlas, but it's on the same platform as the Atlas, meaning normal gas engines for this one. And the engine is actually a 2.5-liter turbo VR6, supposedly, and it runs through a 7-speed DSG transmission and all-wheel drive. There will also be a 2.0T. Thankfully, though, this does get a much nicer interior than the Atlas. I mean, you compare this side by side with an Atlas interior, it's like you're on another planet. I mean, this is very nice. You know, the newest screens, software, switches, along with more storage than you get in an Atlas, and even nice touches like ambient lighting, which are things that, you know, you kind of need these days to be competitive in this segment. So great they have that. This model may stay in China because, again, this was also rolled out just for the Chinese market, but it's another perfect fit, you know, for American shoppers where bigger is better. And so I'd be surprised if this goes one of 3 ways. I think they'll either bring this to America as the next generation Atlas, or they could be selling it alongside the Atlas, kind of as an Atlas L for those who want something longer, or it just replaces the Atlas altogether. We'll have to see, you know, how that all plays out, but maybe we won't get it at all. Who knows? But I think that would be a huge upgrade from the Atlas and really help reinvigorate the 3-row crossover sales there at Volkswagen. But interesting to see that. Mercedes has revealed the electric version of the GLB here called the EQB. So it takes the same body but puts a sleeker nose and back end on it to give it a significantly different look over the GLB. It can still seat 7 technically with a tiny 3rd row that Mercedes says is even smaller for the EQB and will only fit those 5'5" and under. And I mean, that's probably with the 2nd row seats slid all the way forward. Other than that, the other unique thing about the interior is that it has unique gauges, but otherwise it's the same interior as a GLB. Mechanically, there's a few powertrains that are going to be available. China only gets the top 288 horsepower version with all-wheel drive, but Europe will also be getting a front-wheel drive version and all-wheel drive version as well. And so they'll have, you know, a few more choices there. And those go down to 268 horsepower or 221 horsepower for the front-wheel drive version. Range for the all-wheel drive version sounds like it maxes out around 260 miles on the easier WLTP testing cycle, meaning maybe low 200s if the EPA tests it. And they will be testing it as well, because while the rest of the world will be getting it this year, it will be coming to the United States a little bit later. They're saying sometime in the middle of next year is when we'll get it here in the States. And Mercedes hasn't announced which powertrains we'll get here in the States. Most likely it's going to be, you know, the biggest battery and the most powerful ones possible. But yeah, they say more info will come on that for us here this fall. So cool to see that. Maserati has revealed the Levante hybrid in Shanghai, and it gets the same 4-cylinder turbo powertrain as the Ghibli hybrid, meaning 330 horsepower and 332 pound-feet of torque and a 6 second 0 to 60 time. It's only a mild hybrid though, so there's really no electric-only driving, but Maserati says that not having a battery pack gives the Levante hybrid better handling. That's their marketing spin for this one, as well. It's lighter with a smaller engine, so it handles better. Really, you know, this is just for the Chinese market because they get taxed based on displacement, I believe. And so going down to a smaller engine, you know, allows it to be a lot cheaper as far as taxes go and allows a lot more people to buy these, you know, a little bit more affordably. And yeah, Maserati has also said they're not going to be sold here in the United States. It's just for China, just like the Ghibli hybrid. And I can totally understand why, because here in the States, there would be zero appeal, I think, for this model. So yeah, interesting to see that. Buick has a couple debuts in Shanghai. First is the new Verano, which does continue on and has lived on here in China thanks to, again, the Chinese consumers actually buying sedans in decent numbers, and so Buick continues to put them out. And so there's even this cool little Pro GS version that's offered, and there's no mechanical details that I could see on it, but it looks like it's, you know, a pretty cool little sedan. It even has two 10.25-inch touchscreens there for a very modern-looking interior and stuff as well. And it seems like a really cool little vehicle, you know, depending on the power and stuff. But the other reveal that sadly is much more likely to actually come to the States here it's called the Envision Plus. Again, a very creative name. So it's about 8 inches longer than the regular Envision, but still much smaller than the Enclave. So it kind of, you know, fits that niche in between the two. Nevertheless, it provides more third row space and cargo space supposedly, but Buick didn't provide any interior pictures, so we're left to wonder. And I think they might be holding it back a little bit because, you know, maybe we'll be getting this in the States and they'll have a full reveal for us sometime down the road. But Yeah, so another vehicle there to fill a niche, and yeah, we'll see if that comes to the States. For a news story that is specifically for the United States, though, Cadillac has revealed the production version of the Lyriq, which looks just as cool as the prototype and has all the same technology, including that awesome 33-inch screen. But now Cadillac has also given mechanical details, and those are a little bit of a head scratcher. So it'll only be offered with a single motor rear-wheel drive version at launch. So if you're wanting to be right in the front line of buying one of these Lyriqs, you're going to have to go for a rear-wheel drive crossover. Interesting choice there. If you want all-wheel drive, you'll have to keep waiting. That will come eventually, but I'm not sure exactly when. But it's going to be early 2022 for these very first Lyriqs. So you're looking sometime beyond that for an all-wheel drive version. So it's kind of interesting. They're launching it early 2022. So they're launching a rear-wheel drive electric crossover in the middle of winter, essentially, in Michigan. Regardless, it'll do 340 horsepower and 325 pound-feet of torque, and it's powered by a 100 kilowatt-hour battery that allows it to go over 300 miles of range on a charge, which is pretty good. It can also do 190 kilowatt DC fast charging for 195 miles of range in 30 minutes. So pretty quick charging there. Another head scratcher though is that at least at launch here, it's only going to be available in 2 colors, silver and black, but then they said they will add a second silver down the road. I hope they do more than that. I mean, come on. I think even the most popular color still for cars these days is white. So, I mean, at least if you're just, voting by committee, at least do a white. But I would hope that, they would have, some more interesting colors down the road. And I'm sure they hopefully will. Hopefully it just doesn't take too much longer. But if you're someone who's wanting to pre-order one of these Lyriqs, you don't have very many choices. You get a rear-wheel drive version, you get silver or black. There you go. Seems a little unexciting. But anyway, one thing that is a little bit more exciting is the pricing. They did reveal it's going to be starting at $59,990. So $60,000 for this vehicle starting, and it does undercut a good bit of those other competitors out there. And it's pretty nice, for only a few $1,000s more than like a Mustang Mach-E or something like that. This is, could be make a lot of sense, especially with that huge battery and stuff. That's a pretty good deal to get, a 100 kilowatt battery for $60,000. So anyway, interesting to see that. And the last news story this week is also not great news. So Automotive News Europe is reporting that there was a roundtable that was done with Italian journalists this past week where Alfa Romeo's CEO confirmed that the future Alfas will be built on the same new STLA platform that will be shared with other Stellantis brands in order to take advantage of the volumes to take all possible opportunities to bring an EV range to Alfa Romeo, but always with the touch of Alfa Romeo. So this confirms that the awesome Giorgio platform is going to probably be dying soon, which I'm guessing, we figured. I just kind of hoped it wasn't dying so soon, or they would keep a second generation version going or something to save money, but keep the awesome handling and stuff. And it does sound like, it's not going to die immediately because it's been pretty well confirmed that the Maserati Grecale, which is their smaller SUV, that will also be on the Giorgio platform. Supposedly, that's not confirmed, but so that would allow this platform to live on a good while longer if it's a brand new model that's going to live at least 5 years or something. So it's not like it's going to be dying tomorrow, but it just means that there probably won't be a next generation version of the Giulia or Stelvio on this platform. So hopefully the Alfa Romeo engineers can work their magic with the next generation, new platform to have it handle, as good as, the current Giulia and Stelvio do. I still think they're the best handling sedans and SUVs in their segments. And they're super, super impressive. And so it'd be sad if they lost that best-in-class handling edge with these new versions. But we'll have to wait and see. That sounds like it's several years away, though, still. But I hope they do show the Giulia and the Stelvio a little bit of love here for the rest of its life cycle, so it doesn't just die on the vine, because it's fantastic. I'm still waiting to test out one of the refreshed ones with the new infotainment system and stuff, because that sounds like it's going to definitely improve the experience a little bit in the Alphas. But anyway, yeah, interesting to hear that. But yes, that's it for all the news this week, guys. So thank you guys very much for watching. Let me know your thoughts on all this stuff in the comments below. Please continue to stay safe and healthy, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.